Right, let's talk about it here. We're gonna do a YouTube thing, right, to show you guys. Here's the patch notes. Hopefully you guys can read it. If you can't, let me know. Hey, what's going on, YouTube? The Bearded Baron here, bringing you guys another Phasmophobia video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the newest update, the Ascension update, that is due to release on August the 17th. So whether you're watching this on the day of or the day before, doesn't matter. But we're going to take a look at it. I'm going to talk about the different stuff, what I'm excited for, what I could care less about, and everything in between. So if you like this kind of video, please give it a like, share it with a friend, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing as well. But without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, we got it. Whew. First part down. Right? So, here is the, scroll back up to the top. Now, I have been reading this for a good little bit, right? Now, we all know that the progression update is coming in with the new leveling system, right? You get your legacy badge, and that's what everybody is, is working towards. All that kind of stuff. We know that. Then we get your equipment. We all know that that was coming. We've got upgrades. We've got our different tier 3s. The tiers cost a large sum of money to unlock, but each tier will cost the same to bring into a contract. So what I think that means is that it's going to cost you, let's say, for a full loadout, it's going to cost you $1,500 on tier 1. It'll cost you $1,500 to bring in that same loadout for tier 2 stuff, and it'll be the same for you to bring in $1,500 worth of stuff for tier 3. But to unlock tier 2, it might cost you $50,000. To unlock it. Maybe $100,000 to unlock tier 3. I don't know what the price point is going to be, but that's what they're saying. They've decided to go ahead and rename things for some reason, right? So fingerprints will now be known as ultraviolet. Footsteps is going to be footprints. You will only get footprints if the ghost is giving you ultraviolet evidence. So that's a major change that's coming in. So you'll no longer be able to just get footprint photos to be able to fill out your book. Instead, now you're going to have to actually get a ghost that actually has it, that actually has ultraviolet evidence. And then you would also be able to get footsteps. Which, I'm going to be honest with you, I think that one's kind of a dumb thing. Only because, that was a way for people to be able to fill out the books relatively quickly. You still get the salt pile picks. I don't know if you get the salt pile picks. Like, if it steps in it for the first time, but you just don't get the footprint, I don't know. Right? We'll see. Because if you don't, then, salt is, at least salt by itself, for the sake of evidence collection and photo taking, is going to become useless. Smudge sticks is now going to be incense. I think they did incense because there's different levels. So it's not just going to be a smudge stick. It's going to be the other... got to know you on YouTube. Love your content. I appreciate that. Sitram and Horror 101. Welcome in, guys. I appreciate you. Where can you read this? Nowhere yet, Bipolar. The only place you can read this is right here. This is it. Because I got it early because I'm an official content creator, which means you guys get it early. Because you watch the channel. All right. So dots they were saying it wasn't a very interactive evidence type, which I'm going to be honest with you. I thought that the ghostwriting was ghostwriting is one of the hardest things to pick up. I would have liked to have seen a rework on that one, but I don't know for sure. So they said they'll no longer get duplicate dots triggering during events, hunts, or other interactions. Ghosts with dots evidence can now enter in a short dots state, where essentially they become temporarily visible with infrared light. During that time, they will wander towards the nearest player before disappearing. So I guess it's going to be easier to see them for longer periods of time with the new dots, right? Banshees will try to roam towards their target instead. Candles or the firelights... basically, the candles and things like that no longer stop the sanity drain completely, but with different amounts of sanity benefits per tier. So regardless, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, doesn't matter. You're still going to be dropping sanity, which is going to be a little bit harder on newer players coming in because that was kind of a safeguard for them. Yeah, especially for doing the larger maps and stuff like that. Parabolic microphone. You will now clearly hear all sounds that you're aiming towards within range, while all other sounds will be muffled. So if you're pointed into a room and it throws a book, you're going to be able to clearly hear it throwing a book. But if it throws a book into another room, it's just going to sound muffled. The interval at which the ghost checks if an instance is active is now smaller, making repelling of the ghost much more consistent. So what that means is that ghosts are repelled by the instance for 6 seconds. Morroys are 12. Every other ghost is 6. So that means that, I guess, the intervals of which it checks of whether or not that the instance is active is going to be different. Now, another thing, or let me finish that thought. So the instance is going to be checked more on the intervals. So you're actually going to be able to check 6 seconds or 12 seconds, so there's not going to be like a varying between the two. Salt and ultraviolet. Now the salt, like we said, would only be revealed for the footprints. If the ghost has ultraviolet evidence. Glow sticks can now be used again, right? We've seen that before in a dev preview. The glow sticks, now they're actually are somewhat useful because you can crack them open and then you can reshake them. The thermometers and the temperatures. Now, I'm going to say this one is like a little bit, I think it's a little bit dumb, but I am going to have to actually see for it firsthand when the update comes out. I think that it's still going to be pretty much stupid because they're saying we want more realism. So when you go into the house, if it's cold outside, you are, if it's cold outside, then you're going to see your freezing breath everywhere that you go, right? It's not going to be conducive of the ghost room. But you turn on the power and it starts to warm up the rest of the house, which means that eventually speaking, all I got to do, as long as the power is not out, which most games I would say that the power is able to be turned on, right? You turn on the power because you want to be able to see anyways, then all the other rooms are going to heat up and your ghost room is still going to have freezing temps in it if you have freezing. So it's still going to be like, okay, later on, like, all right, we didn't get freezing outside the room, but we have freezing in the room. So I feel like they tried to fix the thermometers and the temperature wise, but I don't know that it's actually going to work. Breath doesn't always mean freezing. Oh, that's okay. So that's the catch then. Freezing ghosts can have a lower temperature to -10. Non-freezing ghosts can lower to 1 degree Celsius. Okay. Fair enough. Tripods. This one adds in an element of realism. I don't know how annoying it's going to be. We'll find out. But so video cameras is reduced to 4 instead of 6. The ghost can now throw video cameras like other items. So, if you have your camera out there and all of a sudden it just yeets it. My only concern with that is that it yeets it into a spot to where you can't grab it, which would kind of suck. And then the ghost can rarely knock over tripods. So what they're incentivizing is that you're wanting to upgrade your tripods. They're wanting to give you a reason to upgrade your tripod. Because at tier 3, it's like, oh, this barely ever gets knocked over. So there's that. Now, there's another thing. There's consumables now. Consumables. So anytime that you use a crucifix, that it gets used up. Okay? Crucifix, candles, lighters, incense, salt, or any kind of sanity medication, you are going to consume those items, meaning that you will have to rebuy those items following the match. You will not get those back after the match. So that right there is kind of like a little bit of a money sink. It could be edibles. I mean, I wouldn't recommend eating any of these things. Like Baron? What? Yeah, no more victory smudges. You're not going to be able to waste them. People are going to be like, don't waste the salt, okay? Don't put down salt unless we know we got the UV. What are the base items going to be? I think that pretty much the same. The base items are basically going to be the same of what they were, but now thermometers are also included as a starter item along with other evidence items. So we'll just have to wait and see what they actually come out with. Reward changes. We've seen this before in a dev update. Reward for all objectives, tax and weekly challenge. Reward for collecting the bone will no longer be affected by the reward multiplier. So if you are looking to basically like grind out levels or grinding out, like money or whatever else, they will not include the bone moving forward, right? Because like before, the bone was a big part of it, but now if there's not a big part of it, I imagine most people are just going to, for the most part, unless you're going for a burger game, they're just going to ignore it. But any experience earned will now give you the same amount in dollars. So we've seen that as well. I'm honestly, I'm interested to see on how much money that you're actually going to get at the end of these. What am I drinking when I play? Coffee or Coke or whatever is close enough to me. There is a training mission for brand new players. So this version of training is set in a custom-built warehouse with different rooms to show players on how to use each item of evidence equipment, as well as give tips and tricks on how to play in a controlled environment. So if you are brand new to Phasmophobia, now you're actually going to be able to go through this warehouse and see each of the different things. You'll be able to see exactly what do dots look like, what do orbs look like, what does EMF 5 look like, what does fingerprints look like, right? All that kind of stuff. Yeah, the training part I think is going to help out for a lot of new players. Gamepad, this stuff, I couldn't care less about that one. Blocking players. Now when you block players, blocking another player will keep them permanently muted until you unblock them. So I guess that Granny, we might have an issue with Granny with that one. To block or unblock a player, press the block button, blah, 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 blah. New stuff that we got coming in here, right? So they upgraded the Unity engine. I don't know why, but the devs are really focused on the lighting of this game. I'm not 100% sure as to why that is, but like every update that they've come out with over the last like year and a half has included lighting, which makes no sense. Maria and Must Love Dogs, thank you guys for all the gifts. I appreciate that. The equipment panel is not going to have the shop loadout. It's going to have the what tier that you're on, all that kind of stuff. New gameplay and lore notes have been added to all the equipment, viewable on the upgrade screen. You can now set a loadout to auto buy. So let's say you use a consumable during a previous match, and then it auto buys it for you, so then it automatically has it for the next match going forward. Players will now be affected by audio effects such as the Sunny Meadows hallway reverb. So now if you talk to a player like down a hallway, you're going to be like, "Hey, did you touch the cursed object, you asshole?" Then it'll give you more of a realistic effect. Added a fade to the VR head collision. No idea what that means, but you know, cool. The game loads into a map, or the main menu will now always be a smooth fade for VR and non-VR. I don't know what that means. Ghost will now leave EMF when blowing out a candle. So I don't know if you'll be able to get a photo off of that. I don't know if that counts as an interaction photo. We're gonna test that out to see. Several equipment items can now be turned on and off by pressing the use button while aiming at them. So basically, like if you just look at them with the little circle on the item, then you can still hit the on and off button, and then it just turns it on and off. And that way you don't have to pick up everything. Because I'm so old school with this, I'm probably always going to do that. So, let's see. They've added several new sounds for the equipment. They moved the camera view of the head-mounted camera so it's easier to watch other players' views. Crucifixes now have a 50% range per tier against demons. Incense will now have an extra 50% duration per tier against Morroys. Rebaked lighting in all locations menu in training. Again, I don't know what the whole thing with the lighting is. They increased the penalty for choosing the monkey paw in custom games. Now, the reason for why they did that is because people have been abusing the custom games, myself included. I've done this to grind some level. They've been abusing the monkey ball, where they've been sitting there and they've been putting it on a high multiplier. They say, "I wish to see the ghost." The ghost pops up in front of them. It starts a hunt. You can smudge yourself. You can say, "I wish to leave," and then you can leave out. And if you're good enough at the game, most of the time you can sit there and you can figure out what exactly it is that is hunting. And you can get, like 10, 11 levels in about 2 minutes. You used to be able to get like 30 levels in about 2 minutes, which was just absolutely ridiculous. But that's why that they put on a penalty for the monkey ball. That's why. I wish to see the ghost will no longer tell the ghost to you. Instead, it will reveal it where the ghost is in its current position. So again, they're really trying to stop people from abusing that. Turning off flashlights in custom difficulty will now turn off all types of flashlights. Dots, UVs, etc. So that one's going to be a little bit more difficult for those folks trying to get the Apocalypse Challenge, trying to use other light sources, being able to be able to look around. I don't know if it's going to offset it by the difficult, you know, like the tiers with everything. I don't know. So we'll see how that works out. Updated all equipment loadouts for the weekly challenge to accommodate tiers. Some are harder, some are easier. So I guess during the weekly loadouts, there are also the weekly challenges. You could also get, you know, tier 3 gear. You could maybe get tier 1 gear. This is going to drop tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time. Yeah, 6 a.m. Eastern time. I think that that's one of the dumbest things that they could have done. I don't know why in the hell that they decided to do it that early in the morning, because that's still early in the morning in the UK time. I don't know why that they didn't put it for like 6 p.m. UK time. So that way it's midday for Eastern and it's 8 a.m. for Pacific. I don't know why. I don't know why. But that's what they decided to do, right? It's not my game. That was their choice. In the Netherlands, it would be noon. I mean, great for the folks in the Netherlands. Perfect time for Australia. Yeah, I mean, some parts of the world's going to be great. But I don't know. I felt like you would. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's a larger demographic in Europe that plays Phasmophobia than they do in the United States. I don't get the tiers and the prestiges. So essentially, as you play through the game, you're gonna get money, right? You're gonna get money and you're gonna get XP. So you're gonna be able to unlock the next tier up of equipment. So like what you would start off with like before would be like a box of matches, for example. And then the next tier up for like a lighter would be like a Bic lighter, you know, like one of those little gas station lighters. And then tier 3 would be like a Zippo lighter, you know. So it increases in like the effectiveness and then what all that piece of equipment could do for you during the match. You don't have to buy them. You don't have to buy into them if you don't want to, but you can. It just makes the game easier. And then the additional thing is for the prestige system, it's basically as a way of just saying like, hey, I hit the top. We hit the max level. I want to reset. I want to grind up again, right? I want to get to another prestige. So by prestiging, you say, okay, I want to wipe all of my money in XP. It's going to put me at prestige 1, and I'm going to start back down at the beginning. I'm going to grind my way back up. You don't have to prestige. You could just hit the top and then just stay up at the top and then just keep grinding up money and everything like that. You don't ever have to prestige if you don't want to. So, reduce the chance of ghosts to interact with the doors. It was overpowering than other interactions. I hope that they kind of increase the other ones, right? That would be really cool if they did that. Yeah, it's basically just for show. Yeah. The take a ghost photo objective will no longer count for 0-star photos. I'm not 100% sure what that is meant to be. Take a ghost photo objective will no longer count for 0-star photos. Does that mean like I can't take it after I've filled out my book? I don't know if that's what that means or not. I don't know. Yeah, and then they've performed, you know, they've done a lot of other like improvements and stuff like that. Right? Players should no longer reach the maximum light count, resulting in lights not casting any invisible light. Weekly timer has been displayed. Like I don't really care about. They will now have the correct interaction rate, which that's going to be interesting to see. I didn't know that there was an issue with that. So maybe that was or not something. EMF interactions no longer cause incorrect collision with objects. Players can no longer change their order between the lobby and the chuck and the journal. I didn't know I didn't know that mattered. Here's a big one. You can no longer repel the ghost for another player with unlimited range, i.e. you cannot light a smudge in the truck. So you can't light a smudge in the truck anymore and be able to say about a teammate. So, yeah, I don't know what the range is, but yeah, I don't know. Thays will no longer age when only a dead player is nearby, right? So I guess before, if there was a dead player standing next to a Thay, it would still age. Phase now do fewer ghost events as it ages instead of more. Yokai will now have an increased hunt chance and activity for all players instead of just the host. Tanglewood basement audio is now changed and they fixed the bounds. I've had some issues with that Tanglewood before, so I'm glad to see that. Ghosts can no longer get stuck at the back of the Woodwind Games tent. So I guess that was like an out of bounds issue where you could use like a monkey paw to like force it out of bounds. Ghost Miss event will now move towards you instead of above you. The monkey ball will now be able to be grabbed, even when the chapel cross is on fire. Let's see. Where's another big one here? You can no longer walk through the bushes on Willow. The ghost can no longer spawn, travel to unintended locations in the high school. I'm really kind of curious of what unintended places that they were talking about with that. Lighting the summoning circle will no longer turn the lights in the room. Will no longer turn the lights on in the room the ghost was previously in. I didn't know that that was a thing. Photo camera can now be detected by a ghost during a hunt when a non-host is holding it. So that's pretty much it. That's like all of the changes and everything like that that they're doing. Like I said, there's a lot. There's a lot to this update. Kind of thing. But, you know, we're going to take it all, we'll take it all as we can. Right? I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to challenge myself with this, to be honest. And I kind of, like, on the one side, I do want to see it. What's up, Major? I do want to see it, I do want to see all the different stuff that we have available to us. But on the other side, I kind of want to see how long it would take me if I just said, okay, I'm never going to go above tier 1. And see if I can get to max prestige just using tier 1 items. Kind of thing. I don't know. But if you guys like this video, if you're excited about the update, please let me know. Let me know down in the comment section below what is your favorite part, what you'd like to see in the update, what you think is absolutely stupid for this update. I'd love to hear your thoughts one way or the other. But I hope everybody enjoyed this video. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the update.